there are few people who like metal in India, but I'm very sure, like, you know, once it is introduced in such a way, I think people will know about it better.
Metal music is the heart awakening that you require to look within yourself.
I think metal is best suited for cutlery.
It has a life in it.
If people listen to rock music normally, it's just a faster form of rock music. So basically you play faster, you drum faster, the vocals are louder. The overall premise of the music is that it's very loud and it's very, you know, exciting and adrenaline rushing. तो इस म्यूज़िक में ऐसा है कि there is a lot of taboo associated with it because a lot of people have misconceptions. लोगों को पता नहीं होता exactly कि what is the music scene all about. लोग दूर से देखते हैं, जैसा अभी मैं बात कर रहा था कि लोगों के बाल लंबे होते हैं और मतलब सिर ऐसे ऐसे पटकते हैं, तो लगता है भाई ये क्या हो गया, आत्मा आ गई. पर बेसिकली वही तरीका है इस म्यूज़िक को एंजॉय करने का. बेसिकली इस म्यूज़िक में you have to let go. People have to just let go. It's like the expression of freedom, musical freedom. So लोग बिल्कुल they let themselves go. Nobody is high or on drugs or anything जैसा लोग सोचते हैं. So basically that's what it is.
Metal is very like an aggressive kind, very aggressive music. So it's like more or less like a shout out, you know, like to what's around you, or you know, it's got a lot of aggression. So for any music that has got aggression, it's a connection, because in India also we have issues, we have, you know, certain situations that, you know, one needs that kind of music to go through that.
It is probably the most personal kind of music out there. It works for some people, it does not work for some people. If you discover it and if it works for you, then you are probably one of the chosen few.
I started my journey into metal in school actually. I was in, I think, class 8 or 9, and some of my friends gave me some Metallica CDs to listen to and said, stop listening to all the rubbish that you're listening to. This is what we call real music. And I was like, okay, let me listen to it and see what, you know. And since then I was hooked. Me and my friends, we all were very enthusiastic about forming a band after school. So I decided to, you know, practice vocals and be the singer and also learn guitar on the side. And that's how my journey into metal kind of began.
आजकल pretty much in every college, every good college, there is a band competition. So new bands, struggling bands, you know, the ones that have just made their band, they can join there and, you know, try their luck. अगर band अच्छा होगा तो they'll win competitions, they'll get noticed, and hopefully they'll get better concerts in other cities.
I'm a BSc computer science student. I study in Thakur College. But that's basically just to make my dad happy. As you know, I'm a pure metal fan. I want to go into music. Music is something I want to go ahead and do, because my dream is not to sit in a bench and, you know, with a computer and do something, you know, very normal. What my dream is to actually, you know, stand up on my stage, you know, take my guitar around my waist and, you know, look at the crowd cheering for my band, cheering our name, and, you know, just look at them and, you know, waiting for them, just looking at me for our music, to hear what we have for them. And that's my dream. That's get on stage with my band members all together. That's the dream I'm looking for.
In India, obviously, the audience for it was very niche. You know, in the early 90s also, you would still get Napalm Death and Cannibal Corpse and Carcass. You know, you would be able to somewhere find a CD or two of these bands if you looked hard enough, you know, if you had a relative traveling abroad. And even people in, you know, my friend circle knew other people who had these tapes and CDs. It's just that I think it had more to do with the fact that Indian bands were still playing covers in that time period, and there wasn't much focus on writing your own music. So there was an audience for death metal, black metal, thrash metal, but it was much smaller than what it is today. And also it was more of an audience that wanted cover music. So the first hurdle for any band was playing their own music, and that was kind of the instrumental part, I would say, for bands like Demonic Resurrection, Cryptos, Mind Snare, Morticide, all these bands started playing original music, and that kind of spiraled into this big movement that we had then. Obviously in the rock genre there was Pentagram and Zero and those bands playing original music. So it was more about covers versus originals and less about whether anyone listened to this music. There was always an audience for it. If you played a Sepultura cover, you would have the kids going crazy. The thing with today is that the internet came into India in a big way, and that I think spread the music a lot more. So metal was now accessible to every kid, which earlier it was a little more difficult to kind of get into. So I think that has kind of maybe influenced the number of people that listen to this music today, but there always has been a following for this music. And also you got to understand that India also has had a huge westernization happening of late. So the pop culture of the world in general is coming here. Your local people who had no idea about guitars and drums slowly start to see that more regularly and get accustomed to those sounds and ideas, and that also in some way allows them to kind of, I would say, understand this music or bring in more people into this genre of music. Maybe not extreme metal, but you'll actually hear guitars and drums being played in Bollywood songs. You still have Coke Studio and MTV Acoustic and all these things happening because the sound of Western music instruments is becoming a little better known now in India. So all these things I think have an effect on the scene here and have contributed to where we are going and what is to come in the future as well.
The scene is getting opened up. I mean, internet has already played a crucial part, and there are so many new kids who are on the block who started up who started listening to new bands. Support for local bands has grown. So yeah, I wouldn't say metal is lacking. If metal is far behind, we wouldn't be here. We're from one corner of the country, and we are in one of the biggest cities in the country we're playing. So yeah, it's like the scene is growing. The scene is growing rapidly. But yes, still, if we take the numbers, we're a country of around 1 billion people, and the messiahs of metal, Metallica, came down, and I guess there were totally around 40,000 people that come in Bangalore and say around 30,000 in Delhi. Yeah. So every metalhead should actually be there. It's like a must-come gig, rather must-go gig. Yeah. So what is the percentage? 0.04 or not 4? That's the percentage of metals we have in the country. So hopefully it'll expand rapidly.
Better than before, at least.
Yeah, the thing is, it's
getting better.
The numbers are getting better. Definitely.
Even if you take it Kerala for that matter, 6-7 years ago, there was nothing much happening over there. Now people are just taking up 10 standards and they're starting to play metal, death metal bands. They're forming up. So that way it's getting better, I feel.
I've been into metal for the past 12 years or so. So I know how it has gone from what it was to what it is right now. Bands didn't even have equipment that was good enough earlier. Now you can get whatever you want. Sites like Bajao.com and stuff. You can just order it. That's incredible. You can just order whatever you want. It wasn't like this before. If you were struggling to even get like a good drum kit in the past. So it's been hard. It's not been just easy like how it's in the West. You can just buy whatever equipment and all you gotta do is practice and work on stuff that the band needs to. So it's definitely improving. I see a lot of people getting into metal and it's definitely evolving a lot.
मेरा किधर है? चाइना और स्प्लैश में क्या हुआ?
चाइना स्प्लैश में होता है।
ये बहुत छोटा चाइना है, ये स्प्लैश है फॉर दैट चाइना 16 इंच है वो, ये 10 इंच
16 है। हाँ।
Good for it.
India for a long time. To be quite honest, my knowledge of the scene only goes back to the early 90s, where bands like Millennium, I believe, were there in writing original heavy metal music, and there was Indiscreet, and rock and metal was very much together still at that point in time. And when I started attending concerts, there were bands like Brahma, Naked Earth, Pythagoras and the Right Angles, that were doing metal. And while I wasn't, I would say, inspired by any particular Indian band to play metal, but I was very, very influenced by this band called Naked Earth. They were a favorite in the local scene, though they did mostly covers. But I used to go to Raz all the time to watch their performances. And I also remember another death metal band called Morticide in '98 or '99. And they were really amazing. Of course, Kryptos also had just started out at that time.
Whatever happened in the 80s and 90s, it was more of a lifestyle influenced music. Alright, and whatever they were in the 80s, we are now. They were a bunch of angry, pissed off guys who had no clue what was going to happen to them. And take a look around, we'll actually get to see a lot of guys like that. Even the bands that are coming up, they are we're living almost a similar life, just like they had. So whatever sort of frustration, whatever is happening around us, for a lot of bands, I guess it's coming out as metal. We've got Downtrodden, who's actually taking up political issues. There are a lot of bands, I guess, a lot of metal bands inside India who've taken these up, and they're shouting, they're screaming about it. They want change to happen.
We write music in that style so that it connects to people. You're not writing about some personal thing that you go through or something. We don't do that. We write about things that the world probably is worried about. I can put it in that way. That's one way I can say that we write. So it connects to people. So people read the lyrics, they understand what you're writing, and when you listen to the music, when you read those kind of lyrics, it changes. It changes the whole way you look at the music, right? Because then you understand the meaning of why the music has been written in that manner. For me, that is the main thing. So I always try and make sure that this is what is the message that we want to send out to people.
Here in India, it is not a region-specific thing that's happening when it comes to metal. Say you take Bangalore as a city, it does not expand to a common man, or rather anyone walking on the road. It's within the metalheads. So yes, it's not something like a society-driven thing yet. It's something that happens within the metalheads. The bands that play around us, they always play a key role, and whatever we listen to, that's the thing that happens.
Music is mostly the inspiration, I guess, and also yes, it is an aggressive music.
Yeah, I mean, a person's taste in music has a lot of influences, man. Okay. I mean, you can't just
put it on society.
You be in the United States of America or you be in Brazil, everywhere there is metal. It's so huge. You go for a Slayer or a Metallica concert, the dancers, they've come to India. You see the crowd coming here. They should not be there then if there's no connection. And these big bands, they tour and they have an audience everywhere. That's where the connection is made, I feel. So it's a style of music, in a way, and obviously it's evolved, like thrash has evolved from the Bay Area and San Francisco. So it obviously starts from somewhere, and then, it spreads to the whole world, and it's a part of the whole world then, I guess. You can't categorize it as such, or it should be like, you have to be from India, you have to have classical influence or something. Yeah, you should, if that's the direction the band wants to be in, but you can do whatever you want, whatever music. Maybe it's a small city, probably like Meshuggah's from a small town, but they are huge. No one expected them to be from a small town. You think they are from the US or some big city. It should be that way, but it's very different. It's very different. It's not something that you can zero on and say, okay, this is, you expect Indian classical from India, so if an Indian man goes abroad, you have to hear that.
This is a DIY thing. You do it yourself. अगर आपको कोई concert चाहिए तो you have to get in the mud and get it done yourself. You have to get down and dirty and do it yourself. So there are a few organizers such as Kunal, and then I organize some concerts. So when we do it, it's मतलब हमेशा हम लोग को खुद से पैसे raise करने पड़ते हैं. Basically जो लोगों का support है, support from the scene people, support from the people that come to these concerts, that's the main thing. Because if more people come, then हमारे costs meet हो जाते हैं. तो concerts happen, even the big concerts sometimes happen.
Truth is that for the longest time metal has kind of because it's not been very big, it's kind of been limited to metal. As the scene has evolved, as the number of bands have come up, you know, more subdivisions are happening, because now you actually have a bunch of death metal bands, or a bunch of, you know, modern progressive bands, or you have a bunch of black metal bands. Back in 1999, there was one black metal band, one new metal band, one death metal band. So there was no question of having separate scenes or separate identities for them, you know. And it's the same thing, which is why there was rock, metal, indie, everything in one space.
I've played in bands and I've organized concerts as well, so I know that there is no money in this music right now.
I got into metal because I love the music. There's no other reason for it. So I never got into metal because I wanted to be popular, or because I wanted to make a lot of money, or because, you know, I had to sell certain number of albums. I got into metal because I love the music, and for me that will never change. You know, I will always play metal because I love metal. That doesn't mean I'm not open to, you know, other possibilities with other projects, you know. But the truth is, as a musician, that's all I know. I only know how to play metal, you know.
You know, concerts in India, there are very few concerts, you know, which are big. Like, you know, it's tough because people, big organizers and production houses or whoever do these festivals, they have a feeling that there's no crowd, or it's some different kind of music, it's not their kind, they're not very open probably, you know. But you see, today you'll see it. There are going to be so many people if it's promoted in a right way, which you have to. If people don't know about it, you won't expect people to come. Now, everybody knows about Sunburn. It's on television, it's on the internet, it's everywhere. Everyone talks about it. So obviously people are like, oh yeah, that's the shit, you should go there. Because people, you know, they hear things and their friends are going there, so they are like, oh, we should go here. But for metal, it's like festivals are few. Sunburn is happening for so many years now. Now that's why it's like Sunburn. It's got its branding, it's got its goodwill, you know. People are like, oh, you're going to go on December, you're going for Sunburn. They just assume it. So there's nothing for metal. If you're going to Thane, you're not going to a metal concert. No one says that, you know. But we live, I mean, in Andheri, so when we are coming here, it's for a metal concert, otherwise you don't come here. So that's a very small example, but you definitely need like support, like what you're doing right now. It's going to go on the internet, or it's going to go on a DVD, and someone is going to listen to this. So that's how you got to spread it. People have to talk about it, social media, if you love that kind of genre, but it's still at a stage which is very, you know, the big guys need to do this, you know, some big organizer, like even Sunburn, they can have like a part of the festival to a different genre. Like NH7, they have it. They have metal, they have different stages. Now that's one festival I would go for. I'd get also, you know, exposed to different other kinds of genres of music as well. So that helps. So people know what metal, they know about different kinds of music.
It's happening in India. छोटे concerts भी होते हैं, बड़े भी होते हैं. International bands, a lot of international bands came to India last year. Actually, जब उन लोगों से, you know, people went and talked to them on interview लिया, तो they were like, we never even knew that there was a metal scene in India. But after those concerts, they realized, and they've also spread the word. Now Indian bands are also going to other countries and playing concerts there. There's a band called Demonic Resurrection. They played at a very big festival called Bloodstock recently. Then there's this band called Devoid, जो आज के show को headline कर रहा है. That band played at this festival called Walk-In, and that was a huge thing for India. They went there and they had the Indian flag. तो हम लोगों के लिए proud moment यार, because we have grown up watching those concerts. वो concerts देख के हम लोग बड़े हुए, हमको लगता था पता नहीं, मतलब वहाँ क्राउड में भी इंडिया का फ्लैग आपको नहीं दिखेगा. और बेसिकली हमारा बैंड वहाँ गया and they displayed the flag on stage. तो उससे ज़्यादा प्राउड मोमेंट हमारे लिए क्या हो सकता है?
We're just going to continue to exist. You know, we'll write music, we'll release it, we'll tour, we'll do our best, and you know, hopefully someday it'll all click and we'll be able to do that for a living. You know, that's the dream. With respect to the metal scene in India, it's going to grow. You know, irrespective of whether there's electronica, dubstep, folk music, I believe there's space for every genre of music in the world, and I think there will always be metal fans, there will always be metal bands, and hopefully it'll just become a good independent scene of its own, and that's all we can look forward to, I guess.
Let's go!